Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. So, I will link all of my links, that is Substack, and my email link for you. And also, want to know what you guys think. I'm moving on towards writing more and expanding out my writing, and I'm on Locals, and I will have that link provided for you also, and it'd be greatly appreciated to lend your support. And questions, comments, concerns is greatly appreciated. Either email me or follow me on Substack and give me comments, questions, concerns through that means as well. So I'm going to run through a brief list of audio platforms that I'm on. It's Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Pandora, Google Podcasts, just to name a few. All right, and this episode is all about the food culture of Pahala, Hawaii, and history too behind it. All right, here we go. Let's dig in. Okay, here's a brief facts of the city of Pahala. Pahala, Big Island. This is a former sugar town. It's located in the Big Island of the Kau, believe the pronunciation, district. Sugar was grown here up until the 1990s, and the local townspeople believed that this would always be that way because sugar is king. However, the marketplace changed and sugar production in Hawaii became too expensive. So, Pahala's sugar mill is closed today. Today, there are a few coffee farms in the hills above Pahala, including Kau Coffee, which is not as known yet as the popular Kahuna coffee, but gaining a reputation of its own. Pahala has few eateries, schools, a gas station, a small shopping center, a post office, a hospital, and a few churches, with a population of 1,356 of the 2010 census. It's known as the largest town in Kau. Okay, I'm going to expand on the history of Pahala. Pahala was created as a sugarcane plantation, as I mentioned previously. The area selected to house the sugar refinery had several key factors. A flat plateau on the sloping mountainous region, direct access to water well, and a strategic central location to sugarcane fields. In Hawaiian, Pahala refers to the ashes of leaves from the hala tree. Long ago, when cracks were found in the sugarcane fields, workers would stuff them with hala leaves and burn them. For years, Pahala consisted of a manager's house, several plantation homes, a general store, and a sugar refinery. Many other sugarcane workers were housed in small camps and in around Pahala, and in camps situated through the outer lying sugarcane fields. Many of these camps were self-sufficient. They consisted of 8 to 12 plantation dwellings with a small store. Some camps had specialty shops such as blacksmiths or a simple barber shop. As the time passed, some installed gas stations. In 1881, the first public school in the district of Kau, forgive me for the pronunciation of that, was established in Kayapalapai. The humble campus consisted of just 2 buildings, Some years later, the school and its 2 buildings were relocated to Pahala and called Pahala High and Elementary School. In 1959, as Hawaiian territory became the state of Hawaii, the last schools of the Pahala High School held commencement ceremonies. The school then became Kauai High and Pahala Elementary School. Kauai High and Pahala Elementary School is the second oldest public school in the state of Hawaii, behind Lahaina. The school in Lahaina, still in use today at the Kauai High at Kapona building, the oldest public school building west of the Rocky Mountains. The only other public school in the district of Kauai's Nahalu, believe. Yeah, I'm struggling with that. Yeah. And those and the listener from Pahala, feel free to reach out to me and tell me about the pronunciation. Elementary school. Today, students attend grades kindergarten through 6th grade. As the time progressed, Pahala became the focal town of the northern eastern side of the district. It became the other focal town in the south of the district. Businesses from outer campuses migrated to Pahala to set up shop. With social and economic changes came the demands for convenience. Soon more stores opened up. A bank and gas stations were built. For leisure, a town called a clubhouse or a town hall or a clubhouse was built and used by the plantation and the community to hold meetings and parties. In the early 1940s, Pahala Theater was built. By the early 1960s, C. Brewer had decided to phase out all the campuses and move homes and other structures to Pahala. At the time, C. Brewer explored other alternatives to diversity into eventually settling on macadamia nuts, considered a weed in their native Australia. Macadamia trees flourished, and a new niche for the Hawaiian market, became produced out of this. All right, so in the early 1970s, demonstrations demonstrated how influential the world's economy can be to Pahala. The 1970s brought fuel shortages, and developing nations began to produce cheap sugar. It was during the 1970s C. Brewer was proposed the perfect opportunity to diversity. A gentleman by the name of Bob Schlichtler had proposed to Doc Byers, then the CEO of C. Brewer, the idea of technology to convert to the Pahala sugar mill to produce ethanol fuel from sugarcane. Bob also produced the idea that the city of the county of Hawaii passed a bill that could require 25% of all vehicles on the island would have to retrofit to use ethanol by the year of 1985. The proposal would have been monumental, and had it been carried out. For whatever reason, Doc Byers let his short sightings get the best of him, and at the time, he got cold feet in the decision against it. By the late 1970s, with sugar looming in demise, C. Brewer instead decided to expand to macadamia nut product operations. They began to phase out sugarcane fields and enrich Pahala, converting them to grow macadamia nuts. By the mid-1980s, it was apparent sugar had been in its heyday. But other sugarcane plantations around the island became to close as well. Still, the Pahala sugar mill continued to produce record tons per acre, but at a steep price. At the time, it cost $1.50 to produce, which is 1 pound or 0.5 kilograms, which would then sell for 60 cents. Congress had promised bills that place huge tariffs and taxes on imported sugar. But economically, even those measures could not stave off the inevitable. In the 1990s, it was all too evident that sugarcane had lost its luster. See, brewers, investors were getting older and demanding dock buyers cut their losses and liquidate. In 1994, Doc made its last-ditch effort to keep the mill running, but it required all workers to take drastic pay cuts. Most would have to accept minimum wage. The workers refused. That settled the fate of sugar legacy in Pahala. The last sugarcane was hauled and processed by the mill. Over the next 2 years, the mill was dismantled and sold as parts to other manufacturing plants around the world. The sugar plantation mill shut down in April of 1996. Many who lived and worked in Pahala moved to other jobs around the island. Some took jobs in the hotel industry. Some commuted up to 5 hours a day to and from jobs at the resorts along the Kohala coast. Some moved to Maui and Kauai and worked at sugar plantations there. Others moved to the mainland to try a fresh start. Many other old-timers have generations of family and ties to Pahala and passed on. Many of the younger generation have chosen not to return. Still, there are those that have remained. There are those that have found their roots and figured out a way to remain in Pahala. In fact, unlike many other places where the larger plantation homes were purchased by outsiders coming to live in Hawaii, the manager home and Pahala were mostly purchased by local people who have stepped up to the new economy and have such jobs as doctors, bakers, managers, fishermen, policemen, painter contractors, and other jobs important to the community. Some new people have also moved in and restored the historical homes and established their roots and now call Pahala home. There has also been a movement to preserve the shoreline near Pahala called the Kau West, which is known for the best long uninhabited coast in Hawaii. It's 80 miles. Now includes 235 acres of oceanfront park, for which the community raised more than $4 million to purchase and set aside forever. Another 750 acres along the coast called Kauai is likely to be reserved. Inland, more than 115,000 acres have been added to Hawaiian Volcanoes National Park, which now circles Pahala and the mountains above the village. So I want to end on these facts, and I think this expands and gives more of a layer to the aspect of the food culture outside of Pahala, and centered around the whole unified theme of Hawaii, of the food cuisine, that is. All right, so let's dig into this. All right, sorry about the dog. Polynesian wayfinders. Since humans first landed on the shores of Hawaii between 250 and 450 AD, they brought with them a unique way of life that ultimately helped shape the land into what it is today. The first settlers were a group of Polynesian wayfinders who brought enough plants and animals to sustain a colony in the lands they discovered. Upon their arrival on the Hawaiian Islands, they developed an agricultural system that would eventually grow to sustain a civilization over 100,000 people by the late 1700s. The imported plants and animals they introduced included chickens, pigs, dogs, bananas, breadfruit, sugar cane, coconuts, Thai leaves, ginger, and the Holy Grail, Tyro. According to Polynesian mythology, Tyro, or Kylo, as they call it, was believed to be humanity's older brother. All right, so the Tyro plant reminded the people of their sacred connection to the land and was eaten as a way of respecting it. Tyro was associated with the god Cain, who created the sun and the water, and was revered as the giver of life. These legendary portrays the significance of the plant in the islanders' lives. Tyro was consumed by hand, pounded, and it was cooked root into a sticky paste called, I believe the pronunciation of this is pai. The staple was traditionally the center of every meal. Everything else, vegetables, poke, marinated raw fish, that is, smoked meat, and seaweed salad. I like seaweed salad. Personally, it's really good. And served as condiments to add flavor of the pai. Ancient Hawaiians also wrapped taro leaves around meat which was grilled on top with hot rocks. This is actually how the traditional feast got its name. The leaves were also stewed with coconut milk, diced meat or fish, and served with pai. Today, taro is the only starch in Hawaii's foodway that isn't imported, that is, making it an important crop for the island to this day. Over time, Hawaiians began diluting this sticky substance with water to make the modern staple. Poi is a purple pudding-like substance that is eaten with the fingers. Poi can be very watery or thick and doughy. So there are 3 categories of its consistency: 1 finger, 2 fingers, and 3 fingers, which is referring to how many fingers that are needed when scooping it. When it's fresh, poi is sweet and eaten with bread, usually for breakfast. However, after a couple of days pass, it grows sour tasting. This type of poi is eaten with salty foods, especially smoked meats and salted fish. Like the taro plant from which it was made, poi was a sacred part of the islanders' daily lives. They were not allowed to argue or speak angrily to each other when they were eating poi, out of respect of the sanctity. Poi has been linked with several health benefits, including weight loss, reduction, cholesterol, and it's high in calcium and vitamin B. Okay, so Western influences. From the time they arrived on the Hawaiian island, the indigenous people who lived there were completely self-sufficient because of the agriculture system they adopted. Their way of life, particularly their food system, kept them connected to the land. However, their way of life forever changed after a group of Western sailors led by Captain James Cook landed on the Hawaiian Islands in 1778. Captain Cook developed a trading relationship with the islanders that benefited Western explorers during their long voyages. For example, breadfruit became popular in the 18th century and the 19th centuries with sailors due to its high nutritional value. Portuguese sailors working for the fur and whale trades in the United States acquired salted salmon from the natives and ate it as a substitute for Portuguese the salted fish, that is. After passing through Hawaii, they bartered the salmon with the islanders in exchange for beef, sugar, and coffee. Lomi, I believe the pronunciation, or finely diced salmon with onion, tomato, became a staple among Hawaii's poor and eventually replaced the more traditional poke. Trading relationship with the European and the United States began during the reign of King Kamikaya, believe the pronunciation of that, the first early 19th century. Immigrants moved to Hawaii to cultivate sugarcane. However, once there, they sought to gain political representation and ownership of the land they had previously leased. This led to the creation of the 1840 Constitution of the Kingdom of Hawaii, which established executive, legislative, and judicial powers. As American immigrants gained more and more political power from being elected into office, Hawaiian natives lost more and more land. Unfortunately, like many other indigenous groups around the world, Hawaiians lost most of their land. In this case, sugarcane played a key role in the At one point, the British military occupied Hawaii because word spread that the sovereign Hawaiian government was not upholding the rights of British subjects to its own land. This put pressure on the king to allow the people to claim ownership of the land. In 1850, Hawaii's legislature passed the Alien Land Ownership Act and of this, which further stripped land away from the natives. However, since many Hawaiians did not understand and if at 1850s, Hawaiians began leaving their jobs due to low pay and poor working conditions. Over the following 30 years, more and more Chinese workers immigrated to Hawaii to fill these positions. After completing their labor contracts that lasted around 5 years, many obtained land leases and cultivated rice in abundant to taro fields, which led to a stable rice industry in Hawaii. However, after 1885, the number of Japanese immigrants started to outgrow the population of Chinese farmers, and their food preferences became more popular. Short grain rice was preferred over the Chinese long grain, which could not be molded into mushibi, believe the pronunciation of that, or rectangular balls of rice served with meat wrapped in seaweed that now dominated Hawaiian cuisine. These led to the end of the Hawaiian rice industry and the beginning of Hawaiian importation of short grain rice from California. Today, rice remains one of the largest imported goods in Hawaii. All right, to add on the aspect of I was jumping around and all of these things, when it comes to the general aspect of the Hawaiian food culture, when it came to the land and treaty and purchasing land, I think that's kind of not in best interest, particularly to me, to say, kind of make it seem the writer might not have been doing this, but who knows. But I'm just pointing it out to make it seem as their land has been taken, or being naive and they not knowing everything. I think it's better to know all the different points of views about that and the aspects of how things shift from the natives and different colonizations coming in, and just getting a balanced point of view about it. So, I mean, needless to say, sure, of course, that's part of reality of getting into situations or to contracts and where it's not in your best interest because of naivety, but also getting to the aspects of, is that the whole center, and you get down the line of victimhood, so to speak. But that's the reason why I just wanted to get to the heart of the matter, to the aspects of why there's shifts and different cultures coming in and influencing the cuisine of the Hawaiian cuisine, that is. Okay, so this reaches the end of the Harboring Light. And I want to give some food for thought to end everything on. I think it's quite interesting, the adding in the historical aspects of the food of each country, particularly. It's even interesting to get that aspect of how, particularly with Hawaii and expanding on outward to other states and other countries, how the lineage of the people who originated the land, to see how all of that evolved into the modern sense of what the town, the city, the state, even largely the countries, what they represent to known to be as of today. And it's just quite interesting how food, again, as I mentioned in other podcasts about talking about the food culture of the states, down, I'm focusing on the U.S. and then, reach out to all my global listeners here, how food is a really good staple of what people like, what people dislike, just the essence of comfort. And beyond that, the essence of enjoyment and the essence of happiness, so to speak, with how food is seen primarily in westernized and industrial countries. And then it's really it's really interesting too at how food changes depending on who you're talking to, depending on what kind of societies you're addressing and focusing in on, and understanding those things and incorporating those things about food. And it tells quite a unique story, that is more authentic. It's just from my point of view, and I'm not knocking anything else about this, as far as literature, fashion, all these other things, when you think about the ape of culture, the center of culture. But it's just something uniquely genuine about food that you get the even more of a deep aspect of how people feel, because that's the sense of nutrients for people. And then it goes without saying with other aspects of how food is meant to people psychologically and all these kind of things. All right, so questions, comments, concerns, feel free to give me feedback, either email or follow me on Substack and give me comments there. And also, as I mentioned, I will provide that locals link for you. And, it would be greatly appreciated to become a supporter of that, so you can get exclusive content, written content, that is. All right. Tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. Bye-bye now.